Welcome to The Know. I'm Ashley Jenkins.
And I'm Gus Sorola.
August is barely underway, it feels like, and already it's been a good month for anyone who's excited about consoles.
First, we got the release of the Xbox One S. Last week, we heard that Pokemon could be coming to the NX, and now we've got some new rumors about PS4 Neo. Remember that?
Thanks to a variety of insider info, we may have the announcement date for both the Neo and the NX, plus reports that Sony is making Neo's hardware specs more powerful to better compete with Microsoft's Xbox Scorpio. Or is Xbox One Scorpio? Scorpio. Anyway.
Project Scorpio.
Project.
Maybe it's Xbox One PS? First up, Neo's announcement. Word broke across the web yesterday that Sony plans to unveil the PS4 Neo as soon as next month. The event will reportedly take place in New York City rather than at Tokyo Game Show in mid-September, which many had previously pegged as a likely reveal window of the console. It is weird timing. Gamescom is about to happen. TGS is in September. Why have a separate event?
This information comes courtesy of French site Gameblog, whose sources within Sony claim that the whole world will finally get to see the PS4 Neo on Wednesday, September 7th, which is not that far away when you think about it.
Interesting. According to the report, the New York premiere is slated for early September for a couple of reasons. First, the Big Apple is where PlayStation 4 itself was first announced. That happened at a Sony press conference in February of 2013. I remember that very well.
The second reason is a little bit more interesting. Gameblog's source indicates that Sony chose early September for its announcement because Sony suspects that Nintendo will present the NX on September 12th.
So this potentially gives us two dates, the reveal of the Neo and the reveal of the NX, all in one report. Why Sony thinks Nintendo is eyeing September 12th is anybody's guess. Nintendo's next investors report isn't scheduled until the end of the month, and they don't have any Nintendo Directs lined up for mid-September at the moment.
All right, it is possible, of course, that Nintendo wants to use Tokyo Game Show as its platform. That would also make sense, and September 12th will be right before the show gets underway. Plus, Nintendo might want their reveal to happen just a little bit before their next investor briefing, since types like us like to take those briefings apart and make them news anyway. They may as well just get it out there and control the message.
The September 7th announcement date for Neo has been backed up by Vice Gaming as well. In their report, writers Patrick Klepek and Austin Walker state that their sources have also confirmed the event, and that right now Sony is planning for it to be a technical showcase of the PS4 Neo's capabilities.
Now that sounds like another way of saying they don't have a lot of actual games to show, but what they do will sure look good.
While the potential date of when we actually get to see the Neo is a nice tease for PlayStation enthusiasts, some additional info came out of Vice Gaming's offices yesterday.
Yeah, Klepek and Walker followed up their Neo report with some interesting rumors they've been hearing in a later Periscope chat. Yes, we've reached the day where Periscope certain reports now. This is the world we live in. I like Periscope. But hey, the Destiny Rise of Iron leaks also came out of Snapchat, so welcome to the future.
I get all of my news from Meerkat. I don't believe in this other stuff. It's all flash in the pan.
Meerkat's gonna happen.
Now, before we continue, it's worth noting that Klepek is the writer who broke the story about PS4 Neo in the first place. Back in March, Klepek wrote that sources had confirmed Sony was in active development of what was simply known as the PlayStation 4.5 at the time.
Meanwhile, Austin Walker is the former Giant Bomb writer who broke the story about the specs and codenamed PS4 Neo. So they might know some people.
Maybe.
Possibly.
They have a good track record. We've, of course, since learned that many of those rumors were true, so it's safe to say that Klepek and Walker both have some reliable sources within Sony. However, this secondhand information is still a rumor and should be treated as such.
All right, so on to the Periscope reporting. In their rooftop Periscope stream, both Walker and Klepek shared some more inside information they've heard from within Sony. According to them, Sony is considering a last-minute change to the PS4 Neo's hardware specs, and it's all because of Xbox Scorpio.
Apparently there's an internal worry within Sony that the Neo could be perceived as outdated when Scorpio launches. A lot of that came from the very positive response that Microsoft got at E3, where they framed Scorpio as the most powerful console ever made. 6 teraflops!
So many flops, you guys!
6 teraflops!
But there's kind of a question like how much can they actually change the hardware at this point? That's an unknown, but it's a conversation that's happening at least around the Neo, which is strangely still shrouded in mystery because we're waiting on that September 7th date.
At the moment, we have no idea what the release date for the PS4 Neo is going to be, but Klepek and Walker also stated the final development kits for the console will be shipping out in conjunction with the announcement on September 7th, so that's pretty quick.
Yeah, so when you add that to the earlier reports that Neo mode will be included in games shipping as early as October, it certainly seems like we're looking for a launch coming sooner rather than later.
Final development kits would mean the hardware is all but set, which could signal a launch of later this year. However, if hardware changes are still on the table to make the console a little more powerful, it could be that launch is as late as the first quarter of 2017.
Yeah, if you look at the alleged specs of Neo versus what we know about Xbox Scorpio, it's a little bit easy to see why Sony might be nervous, I guess. Based on documents associated with Neo, it's estimated that Neo is running just about 4 teraflops under the hood compared to 1.8 teraflops of performance by the PS4. So it's way, way better than the PS4. But
it's no Scorpio. Better hope it doesn't flop. Microsoft, on the other hand, made the belabored point at E3 of stating that Scorpio would be pulling down 6 teraflops in comparison. You're welcome. That makes it 4 times more powerful than the Xbox One and about 30% more powerful than even the PS4 Neo. Those whopping 6 teraflops would also make Scorpio much more optimal for 4K gaming as well as virtual reality, both of which demand some significant hardware.
And of course, they'll all be thoroughly outdated by PCs well before their release, considering the GTX 1080 and 1070 series are going to be pushing around 9 and 6.5 teraflops respectively. So, you know, give yourselves a pat on the back, PC people who spend $700+ on a video card. You got extra flops.
1080 is not that much. If the Neo reveal and launch are as close as these reports and others suggest, it really is highly unlikely that Sony could pull off too much of a drastic change to Neo's hardware. The Neo might already be well into production for all we know.
Yeah, what's more likely than Sony throwing all their hardware plans in the trash can would be some overclocked elements, potentially. Microsoft has done the same thing recently with the Xbox One S GPU, for example. It resulted in a fairly noticeable performance boost for a number of games. They could also potentially upgrade the design with some more RAM without completely changing their designs.
Whether or not Sony decides to go down this path, it's certainly interesting that they're reacting so much to the competition. According to these reports, they're not only thinking about shifting the hardware to combat Scorpio, they're also targeting their announcement in response to the Nintendo NX.
I don't blame them. When you've got a lead like PS4 has this generation, you don't want to lose it. You want to stay ahead.
Absolutely.
He's like, you like being in first place. When you look at Sony's clearly dominant lead, it's like, I don't know. On the one hand, you go, they don't have a lot to worry about. They're ahead. They're like double Xbox One sales right now. And a lot of times, reactionary measures are reserved for the guys in second or third place, not the guys leading the industry, which is why we're getting an Xbox One S and a Scorpio, probably.
But maybe they've learned from the past, because if anybody knows how easy it is for hubris to bite them in the ass, it's Sony. In some ways, it's a good thing they're still noting the competition and pushing their products to be better, rather than sitting in a comfortable lead.
Still, remains to be seen whether these console refreshes by Sony and Microsoft will pay off in the way that both companies are clearly hoping, if the early and apparently really awesome sales of the Xbox One S are any indication, the console market is still alive and well.
And if people show they're ready to keep spending money, these guys are more than willing to take it. I mean, why not?
It's what they do for a living. They take money. What do you guys think of these reports that the PS4 Neo might be changing its plans to battle Scorpio? Let us know in the comments.
For future updates on the next round of consoles, like this video and subscribe to the Know. I want to watch a battle between Scorpio and Neo. Sounds like a cool sci-fi movie.
What if there was like battle bots made out of PS4 and made out of Xbox One? You have to base your battle bot within the console, like on the console and everything, and use it, and then go fight, fight, fight. You can attach razors and shit to them if you want. That's cool. Or like
razors are for PC.
Give them a shiv.